Joining us now is Tom Kelly, someone I've known for quite a while. We've both been in the same industry for a long time, but it's the first time that he's been a guest on my show. How are you?
I guess the real question, America, is
Yes.
what took so long, Donna? Why did
You. It's all you.
Is it all me? Because I'm so excited to be here. And it's just funny, like you and I have been internet friends since the beginning of Facebook,
Yes,
pretty much.
we have.
We have common friends. And now here I am in front of you, and just after only 3 minutes of like actually hanging out with you sober. We have hung out at holiday parties.
Yes.
But I was plastered on all those occasions.
Perhaps.
You might have been sober, but I was too plastered to tell. But we have so many friends and stuff in common. I'm so excited to finally hang out with you.
I'm excited to hang out with you too. We also have like a destination in common. Like
Wiki-wachi.
Yeah.
Okay, the mermaid
You say that
stuff.
better than I say it.
That's how you say it. Well, wiki-wachi. You try it.
Because I call it wiki-wachi. Wait, wiki-wachi?
Well, you're saying it too fast.
Wiki-wachi.
You're just showing off.
Wiki-wachi. Wookie-wachi.
No, but now you're saying it wrong.
Well, if Chewbacca was there, then it would be
Wookie-wookies.
Wookie.
That's at Star Wars Land in
Yeah.
Orlando, different part. Now, you know what's funny? We have to, when we're in the know, it's so just fun to say wiki-wachi, but to people who don't know it, it sounds like we're just making up noises.
Correct.
Do I do I have a camera where I could talk
You
straight
don't
to America?
really, but
no.
but
Okay.
well, we could maybe pretend that there's one.
Well,
Okay, this one's my camera.
Okay.
This one's the slider.
I love
right?
that you
That
have a
one-
camera and
I-
then we
no,
and then
no,
we share.
No, you have a camera.
Okay,
See
good.
that's Mike.
Hello,
okay,
Mike.
so now Tom, I'm giving you permission. You could break the fourth wall.
The fourth wall?
And go right into the camera.
This
So
is
go
probably
ahead.
also why you haven't had me on the show sooner. I'm like, do I have my own camera? So Wiki-wachi is still a mermaid-themed park outside of Spring Hill, Florida, and I was a male mermaid in a mermaid show down there. And the premise of my career was I had quit comedy to be a male mermaid in a mermaid show down in Wiki-wachi State Park. And while I was working as a male mermaid, that's right, ladies, imagine this topless and underwater and swimming. I got a call from Barbara Walters' office that Rosie O'Donnell had recommended me to be the warm-up comedian for The View. And the truth in my life is that while quitting comedy is when my comedy actually took off. And then we had a common friend at Wiki-wachi, Jonathan Addison, and then you were also friends with my friend Jeanette Barber,
Correct.
who's the one who told me to move down there and take a leap and do something crazy. And I'll tell you, I don't know if I've made any money off it, but working as an underwater dancer is possibly one of the most surreal experiences of my life.
I was
outside of
going to
comedy.
try it, but you have to go down the tube, and then you got to actually. They're real mermaids.
So
I mean,
it is a real mermaid thing, and I'll get you all the B-roll of that. No, it was an amazing life experience, especially when I was there.
Yes.
You basically swim underwater and do synchronized swimming while breathing off a high-end garden hose full of compressed air. And as a comedian, it's a lot to slow down.
Yes.
I think for even New Yorkers, just living in Florida, waiting an extra 5 minutes for your Dunkin' Donuts coffee every morning, and then swimming underwater, and it really is it's funny. I get sentimental when I talk about it because you're immersed in cold water. You're slowing down. You're paying attention to every move and every breath. And you're with good people who love television and show business the way you do, and that's their Donna Drake Show.
And Elvis made it famous. A lot of people have been
Yeah,
there. A lot
Elvis
of
was
people.
down there. Don
Right.
Knotts. Actually, it got a big resurgence when you and I were down there. When Paris Hilton and Nicole Richie went down there with The Simple Life.
Yes.
Jimmy Buffett went down there and actually wanted to.
Rest in peace.
His daughter did a wonderful documentary on it that talks about how it was a show with outside of me and maybe 10 other guys over the last 30 years. It's really women empowerment down there. It's girls swimming in cute little outfits, but it's doing a job where you're dancing and you could die.
Yeah. It's almost impossible. I mean, they are actually transforming into real mermaids, and it's phenomenal.
Yeah, and Buffett's daughter really captured the badass women that do that. And then I wound up meeting Buffett years later, and we had, here I am finally meeting Jimmy Buffett, and he's just asking me questions about mermaids over and over and over again. I'm like, what about me, Jimmy? I'm a real comedian with feelings.
If you and I were able to talk about, like, how people trade baseball cards? Marcos Papadopoulos and I do this sometimes too with like celebrity interviews, right?
Right.
Where we're kind of like, oh yeah, I've interviewed them. Oh, I haven't interviewed them yet. Oh, I want that person. I want this person. Sadly, I did not get Jimmy Buffett. I was able to do Tony Bennett. and also Charlie Daniels, and Jay Leno, and all
Wow.
these other really cool experiences in my life. And what you and I get to do is we're so lucky. We are so intricately lucky to grow up to be who we became, right? And we're not done growing up yet. It's
No,
obvious, but I'm grateful, and I know you're grateful too, right?
yeah.
So, and it's which comes first, the chicken or the egg? You have a podcast, you're a stand-up comic, and you do warm up. So, walk me through the lineage of your warm up.
So,
You
or
did.
or how I mean, I kind of just accidentally did it. Story of
Okay.
my career was and we could go back all the way to when I was in high school and we worked at the same Long Island production companies at different points. And then I wound up working at Conan O'Brien. Then I was at NBC Page. I worked at Rosie O'Donnell's old show. And then it's funny, my podcast is about this moment, which I'm sort of in right now,
Okay.
which is the moment where things come to a halt.
Ah,
And you start wandering and doing things, and you don't know where the hell you're going, and you don't realize you're doing things that are going to help you at the next level, even though you don't know what the next level is. When Rosie O'Donnell's show ended, I
Yes.
couldn't find work for the life of me. And I started doing stand-up. And I was playing all these beaten up towns that I would never go to on purpose, which quite frankly, even Weeki Wachi was one of them. And it was truly, so what happened was in the middle of quitting comedy, I then at a certain point realized stand-up wasn't going that well. And in the process of quitting comedy, I kind of detached from everything I wanted in the universe, started making great friends in a little town in the middle of nowhere, Florida. And that's when I got a call to come back to New York. So that's kind of like the chain of
Okay.
events was Rosie O'Donnell went to The View in the year 2006. Our friend Jeanette Barber reminded Rosie I was still doing stand-up when they heard The View needed a warm-up comedian, and the job was supposed to last 2 weeks, and it
Yes.
lasted 10 years.
amazing.
Maybe 12 years. even.
Absolutely
Yeah.
amazing. I actually was in the audience one day when you were doing the warm up because I got to go to Rosie O'Donnell's show, and I enjoyed that. I really did. Sometimes I've gone to see David Letterman. I've gone to a lot of different shows. It's interesting to see the behind the scenes of how another show works.
Isn't it?
Right? I find it fascinating.
Well, what I find the difference between warming up a show and you
Yes.
starring in a show and interviewing people is you're adjacent to it. You know, you're sort of the juggler, if you will, the ring, and not even the ringmaster, because the ringmaster has authority. You're more of the tour guide. And listen, I think that's part of my joy.
Right.
Is I love watching a TV show happen. Whether it's a big one, and listen, I have been at America's Got Talent for Radio City. I've performed for 7,000 people there. I've performed for the Jonas Brothers. I've opened for a crowd of 22,000 people. I've opened for U2, Jennifer Lopez, Taylor Swift 3 times. Whenever someone questions my credentials, I bang on the table and go, I have opened for Taylor Swift.
You know
and
who I am.
But I enjoy the 5 people shows
Yes.
just as much, and that's I think the reason why I'm good at certain things is I enjoy, like, even coming into this studio. There's blank number of camera people and a little robot going back and forth with that roving. I enjoy the
He has
joy.
a name. His name is Oliver.
Is that? I knew there was I
There's-
knew
you
that
know,
had to have
yes,
a name.
exactly.
And I think that's the trick. If you want to be a great warm-up act,
Yes.
and I'll argue this is part of what I talk about on my podcast all the time. Is whatever you do, you got to enjoy being around it.
Yes.
And
You have to breathe it.
yeah.
A lot of times I'll come into my studio and I never see the light of day because there's no windows in a real studio, and I have no windows except these windows. But you know what I'm saying? They're on my
No.
set. But yeah, I'll come in at like 6:30 in the morning, Tom, and I might not leave till 2 in the morning sometimes, right?
Well-
Because you know what? There's always something to do, and I love it so much.
There you go.
And it's a lot of fun. So you have your stand-up routine.
So I have the stand-up.
You have your podcast.
I have a podcast, and the gimmick on the podcast is
Right.
Basically my career fell apart during the pandemic.
Okay.
I left The View to go to Good Morning America, and to speed through the story, Good Morning America had an audience on a Tuesday. The pandemic came. They stopped doing audiences on Wednesday. And I've done a lot of freelancing in between, but between that and the strike, it's been a period of wandering again. And the old slogan for my podcast was Tom Kelly owns his midlife crisis, because I just turned 40 about 6 years
That's
ago.
still very young.
It is. Well, it's all
just saying.
perspective too.
Right.
But what was funny was I this year I kind of came to this thing of like, wow, I'm kind of being whiny or whatever with my life. So my slogan for 2024 is get back to the fun.
Are you going to move in?
I'll be honest, I'm kind of tempted. You also have good donuts in the green room.
We do. Duck Donuts is our sponsor, Veronica.
You know,
and
I've never
yeah.
tried them till now. So
Really?
You got a customer out of me
Fresh
today.
made, yeah. She makes them fresh, and she has been our green room sponsor since the get-go, since we moved into this studio, and even maybe before, so maybe 5 years now. Love Duck Donuts from North Carolina.
But I'll
yeah,
tell you this: the nice thing about a studio audience,
Yes.
if you said Duck Donuts, there would be people going, "Yeah, Duck Donut."
Okay, let's try that.
You know.
Ready? Okay, everybody. Ladies, and our green room sponsor is Duck Donuts.
Woo!
There they go. They actually applauded.
Yeah, but you
know
had to
what?
give them.
I'm gonna,
You had to
know
give
what?
them the death stare.
I'm actually going to go back to a studio audience because of you.
Yeah,
thank
I
you for
hope
that.
so, and I'll do warm up for
Okay,
you for
great.
one. I'll
That
do one
sounds like
for you.
fun.
And I'll tell you one thing I get as a comedian that you don't get. I'm addicted to instant feedback and instant, and it's almost dangerously so. Like I need to try a joke, it works, it doesn't work, and then you know not to do that again. Like stand up is the art of boiling things down. And so a live audience would tell you things. Like actually, the one thing, I don't know if this crowd is as excited about this as I am. I am most excited about the wooden TV behind you. Did you buy that? Is that one of yours? Did you bring that in?
The TV. Okay, I'm going to look straight to my camera. And the answer is ding, 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 ding. Okay, so the television that is on the set is actually the television that my mom and dad gifted to one another for their wedding in 1964. I grew up with it in my house. I watched Speed Racer. I watched every time
Is it
Sid
color?
and Marty Croft. It is black and white, but it
God
still
bless.
works. And when you pull the button out, it just goes. So with that being said, that is my television. So I grew
Okay.
up telling my father every day in St. Louis, Missouri, and my mom that someday I was going to grow up and I was going to use it as a table. And would you know, I manifested that. It happened. So one day we were on set, the moving truck comes in, the television has been here ever since.
Well, I mean, especially when you consider I essentially have a
similar TV?
television in my pocket.
Yes.
I grew up with that at my grandmother's house. My grandparents, it was a piece of furniture. It wasn't just a TV.
Oh, yeah.
It was a piece of furniture. And the joke as my grandparents got older was the TV died. And at one point, you could only see the bottom half of the screen.
Right,
Like the line.
the lower
like,
third,
like
the
we would watch
names.
the Golden Girls
Right.
and you were really watching Estelle Getty's boobs the whole time. And the fun part about my grandparents was, actually, I'll do this. It's sort of my oldest stand-up joke that I've semi-retired, but
Okay.
there was a fire at my grandma's house. And the audience usually goes, "Aw."
Aww.
And everything was
Aw.
ruined except for the living room furniture, which still had the plastic on it because they were Italian.
Aw. Yes.
But the fun, true part of the story was my grandmother was very well insured. And she could replace everything that got ruined, including the TV, which was the wooden TV and the TV, the working TV that was on top of it.
Indeed.
Yeah, so
With
she
the
got two
rabbit ears
TVs.
still there.
Yeah, all the insurance company cared about was you could buy two TVs. We don't care that one TV was from 1950 and was never going to see the light of day again. And and then in the end, she bought the last square TV you could find at PC Richard.
Aw.
And true story, that TV died after a year.
Oh.
So, and right after the insurance expired.
Yes.
So my grandmother's free TV cost me and my father $1,000 because we went out and bought a flat screen. We had to pretend we won it in a raffle.
Oh, because you didn't want
Because
to
she
know
didn't, because she
spent
was
all
one of
the
those
money.
old Italian, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it, I don't deserve it. And there you go. So here's to her.
Yes.
And here's to the old people. And by the way, here's to you
Thanks.
for making your parents' investment last so long.
Forever.
Yeah.
They're still in love to this day. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
Stay
me.
tuned for more. We've been visiting with Tom Kelly, the Tom Kelly. I am the Donna Drake, and we thank you because without you, we don't have any reason to wake up really. So thanks for watching.